My refusal to take a CEO's cash as a black single dad. She rebuilt my home, career, and family life. Morning sunlight poured into my tiny house and landed right across my face. I woke up on the couch with a crick in my neck and the taste of last night's storm still in my mouth. Someone was moving around in the kitchen, cups were clinking, the coffee maker hissing. I turned my head, and every muscle in my body locked up. A woman stood at my counter, hair tousled from sleep, wearing nothing but my white dress shirt. The sleeves were rolled to her elbows, the hem barely reaching mid-thigh. She turned, caught me staring, and gave me a slow, knowing smile. "You really don't remember last night, do you?" My voice came out a croak. "Wait, who are—" She set her coffee cup down with deliberate calm. "The woman whose car you saved, and whose company happens to own the house you're sleeping in right now." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. From the hallway came the patter of small feet, and Zoe's unmistakable giggle. The woman looked straight into my eyes. And those eyes held secrets I suddenly wasn't sure I wanted to know. "We need to talk, Marcus." "My name is Marcus Johnson. I am 36 years old, a former engineer, now a single dad doing whatever freelance repair work pays the bills. Busted pipes, faulty wiring, leaky roofs, you name it." Zoe is 7. She has bright brown eyes, tight curls, brown skin like mine, and a smile that can fix any bad day. She is my entire universe. Money has been tight for years, but I drilled one thing into her head. "We may be broke, Zoe, but we don't break." Every time I say it, she nods like she's 27 instead of 7. 3 nights ago, the storm hit like the end of the world. Rain hammered the roads, thunder cracked the sky open. I was driving home late from a job, my old truck groaning through flooded streets. When I saw it, a black luxury sedan wrapped around a tree, smoke pouring from under the hood, headlights flickering like it was dying. I pulled over and ran through the downpour without thinking. Inside the car was a woman in a soaked black suit and white shirt, an expensive watch catching the flashes of lightning. Her face was ghost white, the seatbelt cutting into her shoulder. She looked at me with pure terror. "Help, please." I didn't hesitate. I smashed the driver's side window, cut the belt with my pocket knife, and hauled her out just as sparks turned into flames. The car exploded into fire seconds after we cleared it. She collapsed against me, shaking so violently I thought she'd shatter. "Thank you. I'm sorry. I can't breathe." Her breathing was shallow, panicked. The nearest hospital was miles away, and half the roads were underwater. I made the call. "My house is close. We'll get you warm." She managed a weak nod. I half-carried her to the truck, got her home, laid her on my bed, the only real bed in the house, and piled every blanket I owned on top of her. She was unconscious but breathing. I grabbed a pillow and the world's thinnest blanket and took the couch for the night. Around midnight, Zoe tiptoed into the living room and saw me sitting up, staring at the bedroom door. "Daddy, who's that lady in your bed?" "Someone who got hurt in the storm, baby. She needed help." "Is she going to be okay?" "I think so. Go back to sleep, Zoe." She threw her little arms around my neck. "You're a good person, Daddy." I kissed her forehead. "Just doing what's right, kiddo." Lightning flashed, illuminating the woman's face through the open doorway. For a split second, I saw something: strength, power, authority. This wasn't just anyone. Morning came slowly. The storm had moved on. I made coffee and checked on her. She was still asleep. Her ruined suit was hanging over a chair to dry, designer purse on the floor, platinum watch on the nightstand that probably cost more than my truck. Rich, seriously rich. But last night she had just been a terrified stranger who needed saving. I heard movement. She was waking up. I stepped back to give her space and started making Zoe's breakfast. Then soft footsteps behind me. I turned, and my whole world stopped again. She stood in the kitchen doorway, wearing my white dress shirt, sleeves rolled, top buttons undone just enough to make my brain short-circuit. Her hair was loose and messy, but her eyes were sharp, alert, studying me like I was the most interesting thing she'd seen in years. "Good morning." My face went up in flames. You're wearing my... You left me in wet clothes. I borrowed this. Hope you don't mind." Her voice was calm, confident, almost teasing. Zoe burst in at that exact moment. "Who are you?" The woman knelt down to Zoe's level with a gentle smile. "Just someone your dad saved last night." I stood there frozen while this stranger in my shirt made herself completely at home in my kitchen. "I can call you a taxi," I said, sounding stiff and awkward even to myself. "No need." My driver's been outside since 6. Your driver? She poured herself coffee like she'd lived here forever. He's very patient. I blinked. You could have left hours ago. I wanted to thank you properly. She glanced down at the shirt with a tiny smirk. And returned this, eventually. She made no move to take it off. Just sipped her coffee and watched me squirm. Zoe giggled. I shot her a look. Zoe, go get ready for school. But Daddy. Now please. Zoe pouted but obeyed. The woman watched the whole exchange with something soft in her eyes. She's adorable. How old? 7. You raise her alone. That's really none of your business. She lifted an eyebrow. Fair enough. An uncomfortable silence settled in. I grabbed a towel and started wiping the same spot on the counter for the 3rd time. Then she reached into her purse, pulled out an expensive leather wallet, and placed a thick stack of $100 bills on the table. At least $2,000. This should cover last night, the bed, the clothes, everything. I stared at the money like it had personally insulted me. I didn't do it for money. She shrugged. Then call it dry cleaning for the shirt. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the cash and shoved it back at her. Take it back. I don't want it. I'm not for sale. Her expression didn't change. Cool, collected, impossible to read. Most men would have taken it and thanked me twice. I'm not most men. She tilted her head, studying me like I was a riddle she actually wanted to solve. No, you're not. She folded the money slowly and put it away. My mistake. I thought I was being generous. Generous? I laughed, bitter. You think throwing cash at people makes you generous? You have no idea what generous means. Then enlighten me. Generous is pulling a stranger out of a burning car because it's right. Not because you owe them, not because you can afford it, just because they need it. For the first time she looked uncomfortable. I see, she said quietly. Do you? I turned away. Because from where I'm standing, you just tried to turn a decent thing into a transaction. The air between us was thick. Finally she spoke, softer now. You're right. I apologize. I didn't answer. She walked to the door, paused and looked back. What's your name? Marcus Johnson. Marcus Johnson, she repeated, tasting every syllable. I won't forget it. Then she was gone. The door closed softly behind her. Zoe came out with her backpack. Is she your girlfriend now? No, baby, she's complicated. I think she likes you. Yeah? I smiled despite myself. What makes you say that? Because she looks at you the way you look at pancakes. I burst out laughing so hard I nearly dropped her lunchbox. That afternoon I was cooking dinner with the TV on in the background. Then the news anchor's voice cut through. Breaking news. CEO Victoria Sterling, survivor of last night's dramatic car crash, returned to work today. Sources say an unidentified local resident pulled her from the burning vehicle just moments before it exploded. They showed footage of her, sharp white suit, standing in front of the massive Sterling Industries building. The reporter continued. Miss Sterling refused to name her rescuer, but she did say this. Cut to Victoria surrounded by microphones. He was kind, humble, and he refused payment. That's the kind of integrity money can't buy. I stood frozen, wooden spoon in hand, mouth open. Zoe tugged my sleeve. Daddy, that's the lady. Yeah, kiddo. Turns out I just yelled at one of the richest women in the state and told her to keep her money. Zoe's eyes went huge. You're gonna be in so much trouble. I ruffled her curls. Wouldn't be the first time. 3 days later, I was at Zoe's school fixing a burst pipe in the teacher's lounge, hands black with grease, when I heard the low purr of an expensive engine. I looked up. A black luxury sedan glided into the parking lot like it owned the asphalt. Every parent and teacher stopped talking. The door opened. Out stepped Victoria Sterling in a pristine white suit, heels clicking, sunglasses hiding her eyes. She walked straight toward me. I stood, wiped my hands on a rag, and only managed to smear the grease worse. Can I help you? She removed the sunglasses. Mr. Johnson, we need to talk. If this is about the money again, it's about the truth. She held up her phone. Security camera footage, time-stamped crystal clear, me carrying her limp body away from the burning car. You saved my life. I never even thanked you properly. You thanked me by walking away that morning. She flinched, just a little. That was cold. So was trying to pay me for being human. Silence stretched between us, heavy and electric. Then her gaze shifted past me to the playground. Zoe was laughing with her friends, sunshine on her brown skin. She's your daughter. My whole world. Victoria watched Zoe for a long moment. Something in her face softened in a way I hadn't seen before. She's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. She stepped closer, voice low. I came here to apologize and to make something right. You don't owe me anything. Maybe not. But I want to do this anyway. She pulled a thick envelope from her bag and handed it to me. I opened it. Legal documents. My landlord's letterhead. What is this? I purchased the building you rent. As of yesterday, it belongs to me. And as of this morning, your lease is paid in full. The house is yours, Marcus. Free and clear. No more rent. Ever. My stomach dropped through the floor. You, what? She didn't blink. It's yours. I took a step back. I don't want this. I didn't save you so you could buy me. It's not payment. It's a beginning. For who? Your conscience? For people who do the right thing and get nothing for it. I got something, I said. I got to sleep at night knowing I helped someone. That's enough. Is it? She gestured at the school, the cracked parking lot, my grease-stained shirt. Working yourself to death, counting every dollar, worrying if you're enough for her, you deserve more. I don't need saving. Everyone needs saving sometimes. Her voice cracked, just barely, even me. I saw it then, real pain behind the perfect suit. What happened to you? I asked quietly. She looked away. I grew up with nothing. Foster homes, group homes, hunger. I built an empire so I'd never be powerless again. Then one storm and I was that scared kid all over again. You reminded me that money can't buy character, it can't buy courage, and it definitely can't buy the kind of man who saves a stranger for no reason. The anger I'd been carrying started to melt. So what now? Now I do something I should have done the first time. She handed me another document. A charter for a new foundation, financial aid, job training, childcare for single parents, specifically single fathers. And at the top, in bold letters, the Johnson Fund. My eyes snapped to hers. You named it after me. It represents the only kind of strength I respect. Quiet, honest, human. I stared at my name connected to something that could change lives. I don't know what to say. Say you'll help me run it. You know these families, this community. I don't. Keep me honest. Make sure the money actually helps people, not just my image. You want me to work with you? I want you to guide me. I looked at Zoe playing, carefree because I'd hidden every bill and every sleepless night from her. Then I looked at the woman offering me a future I'd never dared dream of. If we do this, I said, we do it my way. No press conferences, no photo ops, just real help for real people. She extended her hand. Deal. I took it. Her grip was firm, equal, warm. Oh, she added with a mischievous smile, I still have your shirt. I laughed, actually laughed out loud in the school parking lot. Keep it. It looks better on you anyway. Someone in the growing crowd of parents shouted, Miss Sterling, are you two together? She glanced at me, eyes sparkling. Not yet. But he did lend me his favorite shirt. The crowd burst into laughter and whispers. I shook my head, grinning like a fool. You're impossible. I prefer determined. Zoe came running over, out of breath. Daddy, is that the lady from TV? Yes, baby, it is. Zoe looked up at Victoria. Are you going to help my daddy? Victoria knelt to her level. I'm going to try very hard. Is that okay with you? Only if you're nice to him. He's the best daddy in the whole world. Victoria's voice softened. I can see that. I promise I'll be nice. Zoe threw her arms around Victoria's neck without warning. Victoria froze for half a second, then hugged her back like she was something precious and breakable. When Zoe ran off again, Victoria stood. Her eyes were wet. She's incredible. She's my reason for everything. Victoria nodded. Then let's make sure her daddy never has to struggle again. She walked back to her car, paused, and turned one last time. I'll send the paperwork this week. And Marcus? Yeah? Thank you for reminding me why I started my company in the first place. Why's that? To help the people who helped me when I had nothing. She drove away. I stood there holding the deeds to my house and a future I never expected, heart racing, life tilting on its axis. Zoe tugged my sleeve. Daddy, is she your girlfriend now? No, honey, she's complicated. I think she likes you. Yeah, I smiled. What makes you say that? Because she looks at you the way you look at pancakes. I picked her up and spun her until we were both dizzy and laughing. 1 month later, downtown convention center, cameras flashing, reporters everywhere. The official launch of the Johnson Fund. I stood backstage in a borrowed suit that felt like a costume, tie choking me, shoes too shiny. Zoe sat beside me in a pretty dress, braids perfect, swinging her legs. "Daddy, are you famous now?" "No, baby. I'm just here. But they named it after you." "That doesn't make me famous, just lucky." A production assistant appeared. "Mr. Johnson, you're on in 5. My stomach flipped. I thought I was just attending. "Miss Sterling wants you on stage with her." Of course she didn't tell me. Zoe giggled. "You're going to be on TV, Daddy." The lights dimmed, music swelled. Victoria walked out and owned the room in 2 seconds flat. "Good evening. Tonight we launch something deeply personal, the Johnson Fund." Applause thundered. Cameras flashed. "This fund exists because of one man, a man who saved my life in a storm and asked for nothing in return, a man who taught me that true strength isn't measured in bank accounts, it's measured in character." She looked straight at me in the wings. "Marcus Johnson, please come out here." My heart stopped. Zoe pushed me. "Go, Daddy." I walked onto the stage, legs shaking, lights blinding. The crowd roared. Victoria handed me a microphone with a wicked little smile. "Say something." "You didn't warn me. I wanted it real." She winked. "Speak from the heart." So I did. "I'm not good at speeches. I fix pipes. I change light bulbs. That's my job. But being a single dad taught me you don't need money to be rich. You need people who believe in you. You need moments that remind you why you keep going." My voice steadied. That night, I didn't save Victoria for recognition or reward. I did it because it was right. And somehow that one act changed everything. I looked at her. She could have forgotten me. She didn't. She came back. She listened. She cared. That's rare in this world. Then I spoke to every parent in the audience who ever felt invisible. This fund isn't about me. It's about you. Every dad working 2 jobs. Every mom stretching every dollar. Every parent who feels like they're failing even when they're giving everything. You're not invisible. You matter. And now you have real support. The entire hall stood and applauded until my ears rang. Victoria took my hand backstage and squeezed hard. Perfect. Later, in a quiet hallway, while Zoe slept on a lobby couch, Victoria handed me a small box. "I got you something. You've given me enough. Just open it." Inside was a beautiful pen, engraved, for the man who didn't sell his kindness. My throat closed up. "You changed my life, Marcus. You changed mine, too." We stood close, the air crackling. "I still have your shirt," she whispered. "I know. Saw you wearing it in that magazine interview last week. It's my favorite now." "Mine too. Especially because you're the one wearing it." She laughed softly. A photographer appeared. Just one photo for the website. We stood side by side, professional, but our fingers brushed. The flash caught the exact moment something shifted forever. 1 year later, my little storefront opened. Johnson Mechanics, in partnership with Sterling Foundation. I wiped grease off my hands, looked around at the clean bays, the organized tools, everything I'd dreamed of. The bell above the door chimed. Victoria walked in wearing my white shirt, now soft from 100 washes, faded jeans, hair down, no makeup. She looked like she belonged here. "Still fits," she said. "Still stealing my clothes? Borrowing permanently." Zoe burst through the back door. "Victoria, I got the full STEM scholarship." Victoria dropped to her knees and hugged Zoe so tight I thought they'd never let go. When Zoe ran off to do homework, Victoria turned to me, suddenly nervous. Actually nervous. "I have something for you." "Another gift?" She handed me a cream-colored envelope. "Open it tomorrow, promise me." "What is it?" A question I'm terrified to ask. That night I barely slept. Morning came. I opened it with shaking hands. Handwritten card. "Marcus, you saved my life in a storm. But you did so much more. You saved me from becoming someone I would have hated. You reminded me that kindness is the greatest currency, that honor matters more than wealth, that love is built on respect and not transaction. I'm not asking because I owe you. I'm asking because I can't imagine another morning without you, without Zoe, without the man who threw my money back in my face and taught me what real integrity looks like. Will you marry me?" 5th. Attached was a wedding invitation already printed. The wedding of Victoria Sterling and Marcus Johnson. I laughed. I cried. I sat on the kitchen floor and sobbed like a kid. Zoe found me there. "Daddy, why are you crying?" "Because something impossible just became real. Is Victoria going to be my mom?" I pulled her into my lap. "Would you like that more than anything in the world?" She screamed yes, and we danced around the kitchen until we were dizzy. 6 months later, we married in a small ceremony with only the people who mattered. Zoe stood between us in a white dress, braids decorated with tiny flowers, holding both our hands. The officiant started, "Do you, Marcus?" "I do," I cut in. He chuckled. I wasn't finished. "Don't need you to be." "I do." Laughter rippled through the room. Victoria was already crying happy tears. "And do you, Victoria?" "I do. Forever and always." We kissed before we were told to. Nobody cared. At the reception, I gave her a small box. Inside was the key to my old truck, the one that carried her out of the fire, now fully restored, painted, perfect. "Some things are worth keeping," I said, "like us." We danced. Zoe squeezed between us. The three of us swayed together, a family forged in rain and fire, built on honor, sealed with love. Victoria whispered against my ear, "Sometimes kindness saves a life." I answered, "Sometimes it saves two." Zoe looked up and finished, "Sometimes three." We held each other as the sun set, painting the sky orange and gold. Our story didn't end that night. It was just beginning. Sometimes kindness saves a life. Sometimes, if you're very lucky, it saves free. I still find myself frozen in the kitchen some mornings, staring at the exact spot in the doorway where she first stood in my old white shirt, sunlight catching the edges of her messy hair like some kind of miracle I never earned. My heart does the same ridiculous flip it did that first day, as if time decided to loop just to remind me how lucky I am. I was never supposed to be anybody's hero. I was the guy counting quarters for milk, praying the truck would start one more winter, telling Zoe bedtime stories about a future I wasn't sure we'd ever reach. One rainy night, I simply did what any decent human would do: pulled a stranger from a burning car, carried her home because the hospitals were flooded, and gave her my bed while I took the couch. That was it. That was all I thought it would ever be. But that single choice became the ripple that changed the tide of 3 lives. Now I watch Zoe run through our house, no landlord, no eviction notices taped to the door, with the kind of fearless joy only kids who've never had to worry about rent can have. She talks about becoming an engineer-astronaut who builds houses on Mars, and I don't have to swallow the fear that college might stay a dream. She got a full scholarship because someone believed in her future, the way I always did, but never knew how to secure. Every time she hugs Victoria and calls her mom without hesitation, something inside my chest breaks open in the best way. And Victoria, Lord Victoria, the woman who once ruled boardrooms and bought entire companies before breakfast, now kicks off her heels in my shop, sits cross-legged on the concrete, and hands me a 10mm wrench before I even ask for it. She learned the smell of motor oil and the sound of Zoe's laugh and the exact way I like my coffee at 6 in the morning when the world is still quiet. She says this little house, with its creaky floors and mismatched dishes, feels more like home than any penthouse she ever owned. The first time she whispered it, voice trembling like she was confessing a crime, I had to walk outside and stare at the sky until I could breathe again. She gave me security I never thought I'd touch. I gave her back the softness she'd buried under steel and ambition. Together we built something neither of us knew how to name until Zoe did it for us: family. I saved her from flames that night. She saved me from a lifetime of quiet desperation. And somehow, between pancakes that still burn on the edges and bedtime stories that now have 3 voices, we saved each other every single day after. Kindness isn't just a moment. It's the spark that burns down every wall you thought would keep you safe and builds something infinitely better in its place. It's the reason I wake up grateful instead of afraid. It's the reason my daughter will never know what it feels like to choose between groceries and electricity. It's the reason the strongest woman I've ever met falls asleep with her head on my chest wearing a faded white shirt that used to be mine. Some nights I still can't believe this is my life. But every morning when the sun hits that doorway and I hear her laugh echo down the hall with Zoe's, I know bone deep that the smallest act of decency can echo forever. Sometimes it doesn't just save a life. It hands you an entirely new one, wrapped in love you never dared imagine, and says, "Here, you earned this. Now live it.